PYX 106.
1-800-LAW-1010. It's 1-800-LAW-1010.com as well.
Attorney Paul Harding on the phone. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, guys.
Paul, so Mosby, this young lady, she's going to be embattled now for quite some time down there in Baltimore. She's the one dropping the hammer. I called her the Baltimore Hammer because she really came at these police officers down there.
She did.
Have you looked at this in detail? Can we expect, at least one of these people to get some time?
Well, this Marilyn Mosby, she's state attorney, and I guess if you look at the criticism of her, I mean, it's the fact that maybe she was just motivated politically and trying to just stop this violence down there, which that's what the critics are saying. The charges are just a little aggressive. I think that, the second-degree murder and some of these other charges, just are not going to stick. And we've got manslaughter charge against the two of the officers who arrived at the scene after the event, and so I don't think they're going to be convicted of that. I do think that there are other charges that they were indicted on, and they've got a shot for that. But sure, they seem to have overcharged in terms of everyone.
Is it? And obviously, that's why Paul's here as an attorney. But do you overcharge everyone so that you can get some of these people who we all know should be charged to a lesser degree to roll over on the people who should be charged? Is that part of the tactic, or?
Sure, that can absolutely happen. I think from a responsible prosecutor perspective, I think you need to, delineate this a little further. Probably need a little more investigation also. And we all knew something happened. Something went wrong down there, no question about it. There's video, and they gathered some information. But having all these different charges, I mean, the charges go right from, murder, second-degree murder, down to false imprisonment.
Hold on one second, and that's the same one that's they called it something called depraved heart murder. What is that? And is that as bad as it sounds?
Not caring?
It sounds worse than murder.
It is. Well, to some degree. It basically, your actions are so reckless. And the example they always gave us in law school was that if you take your gun and you fire it directly into a crowd, you don't have anybody particularly in mind that you're looking to harm, but you know that act of firing a gun into a crowd is going to result in serious injury or death of someone, and that's depraved indifference to human life. And the facts that I looked at and listened to, I think those charges are going to be very difficult to sustain.
That's for the driver, I believe, who's facing the most time. Did they come up with that because they think the driver went back there multiple times, saw that this guy needed some help, and just decided to say screw him? Is that enough for depraved? That's probably not enough for depraved heart murder.
Trying to say they heard his pleas and that he was not seatbelted in, and he was banging around the back of that.
Rub some dirt on it, something like that.
I mean, I've been reading this for a week now, like rough rides
are
a legitimate complaint, like at certain points all through the country. Yeah, who had any idea?
Yeah,
have you ever heard of rough rides, Paul? Is that something you've heard of?
I have, yeah. They use that term if people, if the folks who are in the back of what I call the paddy wagon, right? They're back there, they're just kind of bouncing off the edge, and it's sort of like a little pre-punishment right before the charges are officially given to them, or kind of sober them up a little bit. And I mean, she was careful not to use those words, but that was sort of the underlying sense that the driver was not listening to what he was saying, wasn't seatbelted in, and there may have been a rough ride.
We may have justice, but it's not going to be swift. What's a time frame for a trial of this magnitude, Paul?
Well, everybody's watching. I think cooling things down is going to be to everybody's advantage, and maybe one of the prosecutor's motivations was to just, let's get the city back in order here, and then we'll move forward. I think we've got a trial date coming up in less than a year, though, maybe 8 months to a year, which is pretty quick in a complicated case like this. But ultimately, I think, I forgot which one of you guys said that, but the idea that maybe some of the police officers or who were there and they charge everyone might be willing to make a deal and
that's what I had read that they were trying to get a couple people to roll on the other ones.
Paul, I don't know if you can comment on this, but as an attorney, as someone who's practiced law and that's your life, when you see a 35-year-old woman like this Mosby go up and put herself out there and take this position on, do you feel some camaraderie with her? Do you feel like wow, it's a big deal for her, legally in the legal world?
Yeah. It sure is. And she went up there with confidence, and she went up there and made a very, aggressive move, but it it sort of solved the initial problem here of calming the city down. And now she's got a problem of trying to get these convictions, because if these cases all fall apart, that city could light up again.
Right.
But yeah,
Even
no, I was
worse.
just kind of watching her, and she's 35 years old, and just kind of out there and stick to her guns, and you can tell she's well schooled and she's confident.
Well, it's a case, obviously, where the whole world is watching. I think Paul
Yeah.
made a great point. If none of this sticks, we could see more violence than we saw a week
It could
ago.
get really bad.
It
yeah.
could escalate, and then I think the general theme is that there'll be alliances, around the country with different cities. So, although they may be expecting it, if there's not serious convictions here in Baltimore, these things could erupt in other places where there's been, the internet here is sort of aligning folks who have similar situated feelings around this. So, yeah, if there's not convictions, this thing could really blow up.
All right, Paul. Well, listen, 1-800-LAW-1010, 1-800-LAW-1010.com. That's how you can get a hold of Paul. There's something going on in the Southwest of the United States. The paranoia for these military exercises, and people are concerned that maybe, Paul, the government is trying to take over the southwestern part of the United States. I'll send you the thing. I love your comments on that next week if you're able to comment on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, beautiful.
All right, thanks again, Paul.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Paul.
it, man.
Okay, guys, thanks.
Log on, listen loud, classic rock, and Quinn and Cantera at iHeartRadio.com.